The sun rose over the Pacific, bathing San Diego, California, in a warm golden glow on a crisp March morning in 2019. Ocean World, a sprawling marine park, buzzed with excitement as families streamed through its ornate gates, clutching colorful tickets for the day's first killer whale show, the park's biggest draw. At the heart of the spectacle was Lily, a 22-foot, 12,000-pound orca, her sleek black and white body gliding through the turquoise waters of her massive tank with a grace that captivated all who saw her. Her intelligence and commanding presence made her the park's undisputed star. By her side, preparing for the performance, with a quiet confidence and a warm smile, was Ben Potter, a 32-year-old trainer whose deep connection with the orcas had made him a beloved figure among Ocean World's staff and visitors. Ben's journey was rooted in a lifelong love of the sea. A San Diego native, he'd grown up riding the Pacific waves, fascinated by the ocean's mysteries. He joined Ocean World nearly a decade earlier, starting as a tank cleaner, scrubbing algae while watching the orcas glide above. His ability to read animals, catching a mood in a fin's twitch or a fleeting glance, set him apart. By 2019, he was a lead trainer, a cornerstone of the Orca program. Colleagues called him a natural, someone who treated the animals as partners, not props. "It's about trust," he'd say, brushing off praise with a grin. Lily, the park's largest female orca, was his favorite. Captured off Iceland's coast in 2004 at 3 years old, she'd spent her life in captivity, her days a relentless cycle of performances, training, and solitary nights in a concrete tank. Now 18, Lily was a mix of playfulness and unpredictability, her dark eyes holding a depth that drew Ben in. He knew her quirks, her playful splashes when he lingered by the pool, her soft, happy song, hum during quiet moments. In a 2018 interview, he told a local reporter, "Lily's like a friend. You respect her space, or she'll show you she's in charge." Ocean World was a San Diego icon, drawing millions yearly. Its killer whale shows, staged in a 7-million-gallon tank ringed by tiered stands, promised encounters with nature's giants. Behind the glossy brochures, trainers worked grueling hours, and animals like Lily lived in tanks tiny compared to the 100-mile ranges of wild orcas. Her curved dorsal fin hinted at captivity's toll. For Ben, though, the park was home, where his passion for marine life thrived. That morning, as he slipped into his black wetsuit and checked his whistle, the stands filled with over 2,000 spectators. Children pressed against the tank's glass, pointing as Lily circled lazily. Sarah, a fellow trainer and close friend, prepped on a slide-out platform across the pool. Ben noticed Lily seemed off, sluggish, less responsive, but trusted their bond. They were a team. What could go wrong? At 10:47 a.m., just 15 minutes into the show, the world turned to chaos. The crowd roared as Lily breached, her colossal 12,000-pound body soaring into the air, sunlight glinting off her sleek form before she crashed back, sending a wave that drenched the front rows in a shower of spray. The cheers echoed through the stands as Ben, poised on the pool's edge, raised his arm to signal her next trick, a synchronized spin with Sarah on the platform across the tank. His whistle gleamed in the sunlight, his focus locked on Lily, his partner of countless performances. But as he leaned forward, a subtle shift in her demeanor froze his blood. Her dorsal fin, already curved from years in captivity, twitched erratically. Her dark eyes locked onto him with a chilling, unreadable intensity that sent a shiver down his spine. In an instant, Lily surged upward, her massive jaws parting to reveal rows of conical teeth, each as long as a human finger. With terrifying precision, she clamped onto Ben's left leg, her bite crushing through muscle and bone. The force yanked him into the water, tearing the whistle from his hand and sending it skittering across the platform. The crowd's cheers dissolved into a cacophony of screams, a wave of panic rippling through the stands. Sarah froze on the slide-out platform, her hands gripping the railing, her face pale as Lily dragged Ben beneath the surface. The attack was a nightmare of raw, unrelenting power. Lily thrashed her head violently, tossing Ben like a rag doll, her jaws shredding his wetsuit. Blood swirled in the turquoise water, spreading in crimson clouds that stained the tank red. Trainers on the sidelines scrambled, blowing whistles and slapping the water's surface in a desperate bid to distract her, their voices hoarse with urgency. But Lily was consumed by a frenzied energy, her movements wild and unstoppable. For nearly 3 agonizing minutes, she held Ben in her jaws, diving deep into the 30-foot tank, her massive form disappearing into the depths before resurfacing to hurl him against the concrete wall. The impact, a sickening, bone-shattering thud, reverberated through the arena, silencing the crowd for a fleeting moment. She dove again, dragging him across the tank's rough floor, his body scraping against jagged edges as the water churned with blood. Spectators screamed, some fleeing up the aisles, others frozen, their phones capturing the chaos in shaky, haunting footage. Lily surfaced once more, flinging Ben against the wall again, his body crumpling like paper. He bobbed briefly, limp and motionless, before sinking into the reddened water. Emergency divers plunged into the tank, their silhouettes barely visible through the bloodied haze, battling the churning currents to reach him. At 10:50 a.m., they pulled Ben out, his body broken, blood streaming from deep gashes across his limbs and torso. Paramedics swarmed the platform, working frantically as they loaded him onto a stretcher and rushed him through the park to an ambulance bound for Scripps Memorial Hospital. But the injuries were catastrophic: multiple fractures, lacerations, and internal hemorrhaging too severe to survive. At 11:23 a.m., Ben Potter was pronounced dead, the official cause listed as blunt force trauma and drowning. The arena was a scene of pandemonium. Families were herded out, children sobbing, parents shielding their eyes from the blood-streaked tank. Media vans swarmed the parking lot, their satellite dishes rising like vultures as reporters shouted questions to shell-shocked staff. By noon, Charmer, Lily attack, and Josh and Ocean World tragedy were trending on X, dominating the platform. Eyewitness posts poured in, raw and visceral. She snapped out of nowhere. It was a show, then a bloodbath. Animal rights activists flooded X, framing Lily's attack as a desperate cry from a creature broken by captivity. "She's not a killer," one viral post declared, shared thousands of times. "She's a prisoner pushed beyond her limits." Grainy cell phone footage spread like wildfire, showing Lily's jaws clamped on Ben, the water turning red, the crowd's panic erupting. The images seared into the public's consciousness, a haunting testament to the tragedy's horror. Ocean World's response was immediate, but faltered under a tidal wave of public outrage. Within hours, management issued a carefully worded statement expressing profound sorrow for Ben's death, promising a thorough investigation and vowing to prioritize safety. But the words did little to quell the anger and grief rippling through San Diego and beyond. The park suspended its Orca shows indefinitely, and Lily was confined to a back tank, her massive silhouette hidden from public view, transforming her from a star attraction into a symbol of controversy and fear. The California Division of Occupational Safety and Health, Cal OSHA, descended on Ocean World with a team of investigators, launching a meticulous probe that would dominate headlines for weeks. They combed through stacks of training logs, veterinary reports, and grainy video footage of the attack, searching for answers to the question that haunted everyone. Why did Lily turn on Ben? Investigators zeroed in on Lily's behavior in the months leading up to the tragedy. Trainers reported a troubling pattern. She'd been increasingly lethargic, often refusing fish during feeding sessions, a red flag for stress in orcas. Veterinary records painted a grim picture. Lily suffered from chronic dental issues, a common affliction in captive orcas forced to chew on concrete tank walls to cope with boredom or frustration. Her teeth, worn down and cracked, caused visible pain, requiring frequent veterinary interventions that left her agitated. Some speculated that this physical discomfort, compounded by the relentless pressure of performing multiple shows daily, had pushed her to a breaking point. Others pointed to deeper psychological factors. Orcas are highly social creatures, with complex emotional lives and tight-knit family structures in the wild. In captivity, Lily was isolated from her natural pod, her tank a sterile substitute for the vast ocean. Ethologists brought in by Cal OSHA noted signs of zoochosis, a form of psychosis linked to confinement, evident in her repetitive circling and listless demeanor. But no single explanation sufficed. Was her attack a reaction to pain, a manifestation of stress, or a deliberate rebellion against a life of captivity? The uncertainty fueled heated debates as experts, activists, and the public grappled with the enigma of an orca's mind. Ben's family was engulfed in grief. His wife, Emily, a marine biologist who'd met Ben during his early days at Ocean World, faced an unimaginable loss. In a brief, tearful statement to the press, she spoke of his love for the animals. Ben saw Lily as family. He knew the risks every single day, but he believed in their bond. He wouldn't want her blamed for this. Her words, raw and heartfelt, resonated with those who knew Ben best. Sarah, the trainer who'd stood helpless on the platform during the attack, spoke to investigators with a trembling voice. "Lily's not evil. She's an animal, not a machine. We train them, we love them, but we can't always predict what they'll do." Other colleagues shared stories of Ben's dedication, his late nights studying orca behavior, his habit of sneaking extra fish to Lily when she seemed down, his infectious laugh that could lighten the mood after a long shift. But the public's reaction was far less forgiving. Protests erupted outside Ocean World's gates, swelling with each passing day. Demonstrators waved signs reading "Free Lily" and "End Captivity Now," their chants echoing through the park's once cheerful entrance. PETA and other animal rights groups seized the moment, flooding X with calls for Lily's release to a sea sanctuary, a coastal enclosure where she could live closer to a natural environment. Marine biologists countered that a captive-born orca like Lily, who'd never known the wild, would likely die without the care she'd grown dependent on. A smaller but vocal group demanded her euthanasia, arguing she was too dangerous to keep. The suggestion sparked fierce backlash from those who saw her not as a monster, but as a victim of a system that caged wild creatures for profit, stripping them of their freedom and dignity. The tragedy stirred memories of past incidents. In 2010, trainer Dawn Bronchot was killed by an orca named Tilikum at a sister park in Orlando, an event that inspired the 2013 documentary Blackfish. That film had exposed the toll of captivity, leading to industry-wide changes, including bans on trainers swimming with orcas during shows. Ben had followed those rules, staying on the pool's edge, but Lily's attack proved that even those measures couldn't eliminate the risks. The parallels between the two incidents fueled a renewed wave of scrutiny, with activists arguing that Ocean World had failed to learn from history. Posts from former trainers, shared anonymously, detailed the grueling schedules and pressure to perform, hinting at a culture that prioritized profit over animal welfare. One post, like thousands of times, read, "We love the animals, but the park pushed us to keep going, even when they weren't okay." Lily wasn't okay. The post included a photo of her curved dorsal fin, a stark symbol of her unnatural life. The fallout was relentless, shaking Ocean World to its core. Attendance plummeted as families shunned the park, wary of its tarnished reputation. Seastar Entertainment, Ocean World's parent company, reported a staggering 20% revenue drop by June 2019, a financial blow that sent shockwaves through the corporate office. A leaked internal memo, shared on X in April 2019, ignited a firestorm of public outrage. The document, written by a senior executive, revealed that park management had known about Lily's declining health for months, her lethargy, her dental pain, her erratic behavior, but had chosen to maintain her show schedule to avoid canceling performances and losing ticket sales. The memo detailed internal debates about reducing her workload, with one executive noting, "We can't afford to pull our star attraction." The revelation was a public relations disaster, fueling boycotts under hashtags like #Empty the Tanks and #Boycott Ocean World. Protesters gathered daily outside the park, their numbers swelling to hundreds, their signs and chants a constant reminder of the public's anger. No more blood for profit and shut down Ocean World. Cal OSHA's investigation culminated in a $75,000 fine for Ocean World, citing inadequate safety barriers between trainers and orcas as a critical failure. The agency issued a scathing report, noting that the pool's edge where Ben had stood lacked sufficient protective measures to prevent trainers from being pulled into the water. Ocean World responded by implementing new protocols, remote training methods using long poles and cameras, reinforced platforms elevated further from the water, and stricter guidelines limiting trainer-animal interactions. But critics dismissed the changes as superficial, arguing that no safety measure could erase the fundamental ethical problem of keeping orcas in captivity. "You can't make a prison safe enough to justify it," one activist posted on X, a sentiment echoed by thousands. The tragedy wasn't Ocean World's first brush with disaster, and the public was quick to draw comparisons. The 2010 death of Dawn Brancheau, killed by Tilikum in Orlando, had sparked Blackfish, a documentary that rocked the marine park industry. The film exposed the psychological toll of captivity, elevated stress hormones, shortened lifespans, aggressive behaviors, and led to sweeping changes, including the ban on trainers swimming with orcas during shows. Ben had adhered to those rules, but Lily's attack proved that the risks persisted. The incident reignited the firestorm, with X becoming a battleground for competing narratives. Marine biologists posted viral threads citing zoochosis in captive orcas, a form of psychosis linked to unnatural confinement. They pointed to Lily's repetitive tank circling, hours spent swimming in tight loops, as a textbook symptom, backed by studies showing elevated cortisol levels in captive orcas. Cell phone footage of the attack spread rapidly, amassing tens of millions of views, its grainy images haunting viewers. Lily's jaws clamped on Ben, the water turning red, the crowd's screams piercing the air. Tributes to Ben flooded the platform, with users sharing photos of him smiling beside the tank, calling him a hero who died for his passion. "He loved those animals," one post read, attached to a video of Ben laughing as Lily splashed him during a training session. This isn't Lily's fault, it's the system. The media frenzy was unrelenting. Streaming platforms rushed out documentaries revisiting Blackfish, with talking heads, ethologists, former trainers, activists, dissecting Lily's attack frame by frame. News outlets ran round-the-clock coverage, interviewing eyewitnesses who described the horror in vivid detail, the sound of Ben's body hitting the wall, the way the water seemed to boil with blood. X posts ranged from raw accounts to heated debates over captivity's ethics. A marine biologist thread, shared thousands of times, included photos of Lily's worn teeth and curved fin, arguing, "Orcas in tanks are like humans in solitary confinement. Their behaviors scream distress." Ocean World's attempts to control the narrative fell flat. A press conference meant to reassure the public was drowned out by protesters chanting outside, their voices carrying through the live broadcasts. The park's social media accounts were flooded with comments demanding closure, with one viral post reading, "How many more have to die before you shut down the orca tanks?" Behind Ocean World's gates, the staff grappled with a profound sense of loss and fear. Ben had been more than a colleague to many. He was a friend, a mentor, a light in the high-pressure world of the marine park. Sarah, who'd stood helpless on the platform during the attack, was haunted by the memory, replaying the moment Lily's jaws closed on Ben's leg. She and other trainers had shared countless moments with him, late-night beers after exhausting shifts, stories about Lily's playful splashes, or her stubborn refusal to follow cues when she was in a mood. The attack shattered their sense of security. Some trainers quit, unable to face the tanks where Ben had died, their dreams of working with marine life tainted by trauma. Others stayed, driven by a deep sense of duty to the animals they'd cared for. "It's not about the money," an anonymous trainer posted on X, their words resonating with thousands. "These animals didn't choose this life. We owe them our best, even after everything." Lily, now 18, remains in a back tank at Ocean World, her days of leaping for cheering crowds a distant memory. She swims in slow, aimless circles, her massive form monitored closely by veterinarians and a dedicated team of trainers who approach her with caution. Some say she seems subdued, her movements listless, as if the weight of her actions lingers. Others believe she's calmer, as if her outburst released a pent-up burden that had been building for years under the strain of captivity. Ethologists studying her note troubling signs, reduced eye contact with trainers, sluggish responses to commands, and a persistent lack of appetite, hallmarks of chronic stress. Her tankmate, Coda, a younger orca, stays close, often nuzzling her side or swimming in tandem, as if sensing her distress. Scientific studies paint a stark picture. Captive orcas suffer elevated cortisol levels, their bodies and minds strained by confinement in tanks that are a fraction of the 100-mile ranges wild orcas roam daily. Lily's life, confined to a concrete pool, stands in stark contrast to the freedom her wild cousins know, navigating vast oceans with their pods. Emily, Ben's widow, faced her grief in private, raising their 2-year-old daughter Ava, alone in their San Diego home. A marine biologist herself, Emily had met Ben at Ocean World, their shared love for the ocean forging a bond that carried them through years of challenges. She shunned the media spotlight, refusing interviews that sought to sensationalize the tragedy. Instead, she poured her energy into preserving Ben's legacy, establishing a scholarship fund for aspiring marine biologists in his name. The fund, launched with donations from friends and colleagues, aimed to support students dedicated to ocean conservation, a cause Ben had championed. "He'd want us to learn from this," Emily told a close friend, her voice steady but heavy with sorrow. "Not to hate Lily, but to do better for her kind, to fight for a world where animals like her aren't caged." Emily often visited the beach near their home, a place where Ben had once surfed, watching the waves crash and feeling closer to him in the ocean he loved so deeply. She brought Ava along, telling her stories of her father's passion, hoping to keep his spirit alive in her daughter's heart. By late 2019, the marine park industry felt the ripple effects of Ben's death. Smaller aquariums across the United States and Canada announced plans to phase out their orca exhibits, citing mounting public pressure and financial strain. The costs of maintaining large cetaceans, coupled with declining ticket sales, made the programs unsustainable for many. Ocean World, however, doubled down, investing heavily in virtual reality experiences to replace live orca shows. The new attractions allowed visitors to swim with digital orcas in simulated oceans, a move the park marketed as innovative and animal-friendly. But critics were quick to call it a cynical ploy, a way to salvage a tainted brand without addressing the root issue, the captivity of intelligent social creatures. "VR can't hide the truth," one activist posted on X alongside a photo of Lily's tank. "You're still profiting off her suffering." The post went viral, amplifying calls for the park to close its orca program entirely. In December 2019, Ocean World unveiled a memorial plaque for Ben near the park's entrance. A simple bronze marker inscribed with the words, "Ben Potter, 1986-2019, forever at home in the sea." Visitors paused to read it, some leaving flowers or small tokens, seashells, handwritten notes, others shaking their heads in quiet reflection. The plaque made no mention of Lily, but her presence loomed large, an unspoken shadow over the tribute. She had become more than an orca, a symbol in a fierce, ongoing debate over captivity, conservation, and the limits of human hubris. Her tank, once a stage for dazzling performances that drew thousands, now stood as a stark reminder of the cost of bending nature to human will, a concrete prison that could never replicate the vastness of the ocean. The tragedy of Ben and Lily was more than a single devastating moment. It was a mirror held up to humanity's fraught relationship with the wild. For those who witnessed that March morning, the memory remained a searing, violent reminder of nature's untamed power. The images lingered: Lily's jaws, the bloodied water, Ben's broken body, the crowd's screams. They were etched into the minds of spectators, staff, and millions who saw the footage online. On X, the conversation continued, with users sharing stories of Ben's kindness, his love for the ocean, and his unwavering belief in the animals he trained. Others posted about Lily, urging compassion for a creature born to roam free but trapped in a world of human design. "She didn't choose this," one user wrote, alongside a video of Lily circling her tank, her movements slow and deliberate. "We did this to her." As Lily swims her endless circles in her concrete prison, the ocean, just beyond the horizon, remains a world she'll never know. A world of boundless depths and intricate pod dynamics that Ben had studied and loved. His death and Lily's role in it left a question that lingers still, echoing through protests, documentaries, and quiet moments of reflection. Can we ever truly understand the creatures we seek to control? Or will they always remind us, in ways both beautiful and devastating, that the wild belongs to itself? Ben's legacy lives on in the scholarship fund, in Emily's resolve, in the memories of those who knew him. But it also lives in the broader reckoning his death sparked. A call to rethink our relationship with the natural world, to listen to its warnings and to honor the wildness that no tank can contain. If this story grips you, subscribe, like, and share this video with friends. We bring you true wildlife stories that demand to be remembered, understood, and learned from. Respect the wild, and we'll see you in the next video.